Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. So, awesome news. We have the start date for Season 30 in Diablo 3, and on top of that, we have some new buffs slash nerfs, so let's go and check them out and talk a little bit about it. So, the first and most important thing is, when does Season 30 actually start for Diablo 3? Well, it's actually starting January 12th at 5 p.m., so it's actually at a pretty good time. And what is the season theme? So, it's called Season 30, the Lords of Hell. So what is with this brand new season? So for starters, this is Season 30, the Lords of Hell. It's basically the soul shards that we had previously, but they are kind of being changed maybe a little bit, and there is going to be the altar that is also getting changed a little bit as well. So it's kind of like two previous seasons that we have had kind of put into one. So I went over most of these patch notes before because this was technically announced before for some of the patch notes, but this is the most up-to-date one, and of course things are subject to change unless someone finds out some crazy glitch. More than likely everything here will be pretty much going to be set in stone here. So starting right off, there's going to be these primeval soul shards. So these are like these things, I believe you can only put these in your weapons, and you can only have one of these. So these are 7 unique soul shards that you can actually put in. And anyway, so there's like the sliver of terror, where it makes it so your cooldowns are going to be increased, but you get to actually take reduced damage and deal increased damage. So again, these are pretty much things that have existed. The only updates here are going to be the things in red, but this is basically the updated kind of powers over here. So we get to have increased attack speed, crit chance for each skill on cooldown, so basically spam everything. Pretty cool with that. And then we have the Shard of Hatred, where we get to deal reduced damage when we have 3 or fewer enemies within 25 yards, and then if 3 enemies are within the same distance, you deal increased damage per enemy to a maximum of 50%. Okay, so then additional powers, if we kill an elite enemy, it pulls all of them to where the elite died, and then our movement speed is increased. That's a pretty good amount, 50%. For each enemy within 25 yards, it reduces our movement speed by 10% up to 70. And then we also deal 15 to 10% increased damage for every enemy instead of 5% to a maximum of 100%. And then we have the Fragment of Destruction. So the base power is that you move unhindered through enemies, and then each enemy you pass through receives a mark of destruction. Each marked enemy that dies removes 1 second from your skills on cooldown. If the mark of destruction expires before the enemies die, you lose 2% of your maximum health as damage. Marks are not applied if you are below 35% health. Okay, so a little bit of give and take over there. And then we have the additional powers, where you have a 25% chance to restore some HP when an enemy dies with the mark of destruction active. And then when you apply a mark of destruction to an enemy, you increase your movement speed by 5% for 7 seconds, and it's got 10 stacks. And then you can also leave a trail of fire in your wake that slays enemies with a mark of destruction and or below 10% health. So you have basically Coaling Strike and Path of Exile. I think there's also an axe that gives you this stat in Diablo 3 as well. And then we have the Lesser Soul. So these are like the big ones. And then now we have the Lesser Evil Soul Shards. So we have the Stain of Sin. So we get to deal less damage, but when you kill 50 enemies, you get to spawn a pool over here, and the damage done to elites lasts a certain amount of time. Now, I believe this does work in group play too, so this might be something where like maybe the ZDPS runs this. I'm not sure if it's like your whole party counts as the kills on this, but there could be some cool things to do, even though it's like, you know, you wouldn't normally get excited about dealing less damage, right? And then we have the Dregs of Lies, which is the base power of you dealing less damage, but our pets deal more damage. And then the additional powers are killing a elite, reduces all of our active cooldowns, and receiving fatal damage. We have a shadow that prevents our death, so it's like a cheat death, and it gives us some stats. And then each time your pet hits an enemy, your damage is increased, and it stacks a bunch of different times. So this is great for, I believe, like the spider pet on the Witch Doctor. Then we have the Remnant of Pain over here. Our crit hit chance is increased by 15. Attacks against incapacitated enemies are automatically critical hits. And then with additional powers, hitting enemies with cold damage has a chance to freeze them, and our cold skill damage is increased to frozen targets by 20%. I was actually thinking about maybe making it build with Reinhardt. I'm not even sure if this would be good. I think at the time that when this came out, it wasn't very good. I don't think it's going to be insane, but there is like maybe some potential cool stuff that you can do with that. This, by the way, these are like technically older powers, but I'm just kind of refreshing, as this is kind of like the most important part of the new season here. And then we also have gain the passability when your movement speed is over 50%, and you get to move through enemies. You knock back and stun them for 2 seconds. Okay, and then when you crit an enemy, you increase the attack speed of all players by 5% for 5 seconds. Okay, so maybe this could be good for ZDPS as well. And And then lastly, this is the last big thing over here, which is the Essence of Anguish. So the base power, every time you deal poison damage to an enemy, you can get to increase the cooldown, reduction, and movement speed by 2.5%, and while your damage received is increased by 5% for 10 seconds, you have 10 stacks of that. And then additional powers or movement speed and cooldown reduction can be increased up to 15 times by dealing poison damage to an enemy, and when you deal poison damage to an enemy, they receive 50% increased poison damage from all sources for 10 seconds. Then also killing an enemy deals the damage done by the death blow to all enemies within 25 yards. Now, the interesting thing is, I don't know if anyone's tested this out, but this would be really cool if anyone has used the weapon Sever. How it works is like when you kill the enemy, it hits for like just quadrillions of damage. I'm not sure if this would work, but if it does kind of work for that, this may be something interesting to maybe take into consideration. So anyways, here are the new cosmetic rewards for the season. So starting right off, you can see it's just like the chest armor. I believe this is kind of recycled stuff, at least for the armor here. So we have the chest and the glove. So those are the two exclusive to the Conqueror set. Players will be able to earn a series of portrait frames. So this looks like one of the portrait frames and a pennant. So basically a little like flag banner over here. And then as far as the season journey, you know, you could do some of these and you'll get the rewards. They're pretty easy overall. I'm not going to go over all of them because it's going to extend the video more than necessary. Basically, I'm going to go over the important parts, which are, of course, the powers, the buffs, and nerfs. And, of course, those are going to be the rewards. So on top of that, the Hagrid gift, because this could determine what you may want to actually start. So as far as it goes, if you're wondering what my recommendation is going to be, I think Inez is a fantastic set to start off with. Marauder actually got a slight buff over here. And DMO is probably going to be one of like the least favored ones. So at least that's my initial impressions off of this. I haven't seen people play Zunimasus in a long time. I'm guessing people probably still want to play Mundanuga. That's kind of like the fan favorite. And we actually got a more recent buff to the chicken set. You guys are actually seeing gameplay right now of Season 29, which this is technically kind of a newer set build that you can play in the game. So I think most people will probably opt to play that eventually. But as far as what I would prefer to play, I mean, if I was to try to speed run and I wanted to get, you know, my gems upgrade as fast as possible, I think Monk is a great suggestion. But someone let me know down below if things have actually changed. Because last season, all I did was I played Demon Hunter, hit rank 1, and then I kind of just went back to Diablo 4. But nonetheless, that is what I have off the top of my head, what I would want to play at the start. But you guys let me know what class are you guys going to be playing down below. But we're not done yet because we still have the most important thing. So there's a lot of new changes. So there is new Rites of Sanctuary. That's basically the thing that we had gotten in Season 28, which was like that altar that we can power up, right? So basically, a lot of these things got heavily nerfed, but it's because we now have those brand new gems, those demonic gems that we already went over all of the effects of this new evil soul shards, right? So we went over those effects, but in addition to that, you still get the altar. So you still will be more powerful than you were previously. So as far as it goes, a lot of these things did get nerfed, but your character will still be super powerful. In fact, I want to say most builds, I want to say at this point, pretty much every single build can do at least T16, and you're going to be blazing through content. Now, as far as every single build in the game doing a GR 150, we'll have to wait and see. But you're still getting a massive buff here, and you get the gem. Like, again, that's the thing that you put into your weapon, is a massive DPS increase. So you also get that. And then there's also feature changes. One of them that's really important is this one right here, Chiltara. This is used to progress on the altar, and this was not a fun thing to do, I'll tell you that for sure. This is actually being changed over here, so it has a 20% drop rate of that. And then the Whisper Atonements can now be salvaged for some Forgotten Souls, and then the Oryx Dream Encounter got buffed from 1 to 4%, so that's going to be a very nice change. That is the thing where you basically get the GG Rift, the old fields, right? And then we have gelatinous Sire Goblins no longer spawn from the Goblin Shrine inside of Echo Nightmares. That actually might be not that bad of a change, considering it actually caused so much lag. Just in general, those gelatinous ones, I believe those are the blue ones, those ones automatically cause a bunch of lag anyways. So now that we went over pretty much most of the important stuff, except for one of the most important things, which is going to be the buffs and nerfs. So I did cover this in a previous video, but I'm going to go ahead and glance over it. There's not too much newer changes in red over here, but basically the Might of the Earth, that got a nice little buff over there. And then Raker is making it so when you hit enemies with Furious Charge or a weapon throw, it's going to increase the damage of our next Ancient Spear by 2,500 from 5,500. But it says that and causes it to release multiple spears from its target. This effect stacks, and each spear throw consumes a maximum of 5 stacks. So you guys let me know how you guys feel about that. And then as far as the Crusader goes, they've actually given a huge amount of buffs over here. So Roland's Legacy increases the damage of shield bash and sweep attack to 40,000. So this is a massive, that's like triple the stats over there. And then on top of that, Denial over here getting a change that's going to be coexisting with this. So each enemy hit by our sweep attack is going to increase the damage of the next sweep attack by 100 to 125. That stacks up to 5 times, and each stack lasts up to 5 seconds. So if you're interested in maybe trying out something that maybe you have not played before, a lot of people never really like this set, I'm going to be honest, but hey, it is a huge buff. I mean, this is like doubles. Like, this is crazy. It's, like I said, this is more than double right there. And then this, and you get the altar, and you get the new gems here. And then on top of that, nothing else really got changed here. Again, the red stuff is the most recent thing, but the Aegis of Valor, so increasing the damage, Fist of the Heavens to 15,000. Wait, it says increase the damage of Fist of the Heavens to 15,000. Did they mean about 150,000? Because it says from 20,000, and it says an increase. Maybe they flip-flop the numbers. Anyways, whatever. That's what they're saying. But the most important thing over here is the denial here. And as far as Demon Hunter goes, they actually are going to be increasing the damage of Shadow Impale. Okay, this one's worded correctly. I'm still like kind of baffled on this one. Anyways, 120,000 from 75, so that's a nice little buff over there as well. And then as far as Marauder goes, the skills now deal 9,500 from 12,000 over here. So that is going to be, it says increased damage. Oh, okay, so yeah, this would be a nerf, I believe, is how it seems like it. As far as Monk's go, nothing got changed over on Monk's, but this is technically something that did get changed. This was in the previous patch notes, but again, we're just looking for the red stuff here. So as far as Necromancer goes, the Pestilence over here. So each enemy that you hit with Bone Spear, Corpse Lance, and Corpse Explosion reduces your damage taken by 3% up to a maximum of 75, and that will last for 15 seconds. So nice little survivability boost on the Pestilence over here, and it did receive another buff. So it's basically getting double the stats. There's actually a really cool build called an Auto Lancer. I don't have one for season 29 or 30 yet, but I mean, it's the exact same thing. All you would need to do is, well, the numbers just increase. You wouldn't need to change anything, so you guys could probably use that. If I remember, I'll link it down below. I think this is one of the easiest chill builds. If you're like someone that likes to, you know, just kind of play Diablo while something else is going on, like where you're doing something else, the Auto Lance Necromancer is a fantastic build. Basically, you just get to walk around and everything just melts. It's a fantastic feeling. It's like a walking simulator. And then as far as Witch Doctor goes, the Mundanugus over here, so it deals 17,500, and the previous number was 20,000. So little nerf, slap on the wrist with the Mundanugus. Is this probably still the best build? You know, I think the chicken build was actually one of the stronger builds in the game. I think everyone was playing it because it was also new last season. But let me know, guys, do you think chicken or Mundanugus is going to be like the best? I guess it was kind of like Eric here as well. That you can actually play with the chicken build. And as far as Wizard goes, DMO over here, I mean, they could buff this thing a lot, and I still think people just don't like the playstyle of it because it is very tedious. So its enemies affected by slow time for 5 seconds after expiring 20,000. So it basically double the stats on it. But I'm just going to warn you guys, even though this is part of the season journey, like in terms of like your Hadric's Gift, this build is not an easy build to play because it requires you to use Triumvirate, activate it multiple times, activate your slow time, make sure they get affected by it, and then you get to go do damage. It's got like several steps in it. So if you are interested in playing Wizard, I'm just going to warn you guys, it's a heads up, it is maybe not the smoothest experience. Now, Tall Rashas is probably what I would recommend, and it's still probably one of the best builds in the game for them, but they did change a couple other things. But again, I just want to go over the important stuff, and basically that is going to be wrapping things up. So the real question, guys, is what do you actually plan to play for this season start? I'm actually going to be out of the States, so if I do play, like if I was to play, I'm probably just going to be playing and working on the Diablo content. But if my Wi-Fi is good enough and I wanted to play, I would definitely go for Monk over here. I just think the Innis is just a fantastic start. But let me know what you would play down below. But that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn that bell to see more Diablo content and more. Peace out. Have a good one.